Hey, I'm Gavin McElveen. I'm the Centennial Committee Chairman, and it's been some time since I've updated you on my Never Forget Garden here at the house, and I wanted to just quickly show you kind of what I've got going on. It's definitely grown since it originally started, and as an infantryman, I know that it's been difficult for me to grow things, but I appreciate all of the help of the American Rose Society on tips and techniques to make sure that my roses are growing. What we've got in our Never Forget garden here is pretty simple. Our marker obviously is in the center, and I'm working on creating a new base for it. But starting right here behind me with these beautiful yellow rose bushes, this rose bush was dedicated to Colonel Neil Cosby, who was a tomb guard back in the 60s, also a battalion commander who fought in Vietnam, and is one of my mentors. So every day I get a chance to see him, and I really love the fact that his rose bush is just absolutely taking off. It's quite a pride, and I love sending photos of that to his widow, Dot Cosby, and we both get a chance to once again reconnect and think about Neil and everything that he's done for us. Right behind that, it might be a little difficult to see, is another beautiful yellow rose bush right up here. This one is dedicated to someone who didn't serve in the military but had a great influence upon both myself and Amy, and that's Karen Nazaro. She is the wife of another tomb guard, and without her steadfast support and ability to see through the BS on some of the things that we'd come up with and the good idea fairy and put a little bit of sense of reality in there from a different perspective, we truly miss Karen and everything that she did for us while she was around, and that's why we've got a beautiful rose bush there. She's got a great rose bush that starts out bright yellow, and then slowly the roses actually fade to a different color. It's pretty amazing, so really enjoy that. Right behind the Never Forget garden marker, kind of one of the low pink ones that we have there, that's dedicated to a friend of mine who fell in 1990, Lars Peter Chu. He was with the 3rd Battalion, 325th Airborne Battalion Combat Team. He was a dear friend of mine, and he was killed in northern Iraq, protecting the Kurdish people during Operation Provide Comfort. So I like being able to see a rose bush for him, dedicated to him every day that I come into the house. Right next to it, kind of in the back, is a little bit hard to see, is a beautiful pink and red one. Well, actually it starts out kind of purple and goes to white. A really fantastic rose bush there. That one's dedicated to a friend who served in the United States Coast Guard. Right after high school, he was actually my high school senior locker mate, and we both went our separate ways when we got out of high school, and he went into the U.S. Coast Guard. That's Peter Hibben, who passed away, and so I like being able to again remember the service and sacrifice that he gave to our nation while serving in the Coast Guard. So the last one we got here in the main garden, the very large rose bush, is dedicated to someone that my wife served with. My wife was an Army veteran, 33 years in the military, and Staff Sergeant Richard Blakely was killed in Iraq prior to one of our deployments in 2009 and 10. Amy was supposed to be on that deployment, but because she had transitioned from enlisted to officer and was going through the Nurses Corps basic training and things like that, they wouldn't allow her to deploy, and unfortunately Richard fell to a sniper in Iraq during that time frame. But Richard had a great impact on Amy, and again, that's why we have a Never Forget garden right outside our house, so that when we walk in, the first thing that we are reminded of when we come home, and the first thing we see when we leave to go into work, are the people that have greatly influenced and impacted us. It's important that we remember their service and sacrifice, and this is a simple way to do it. And quite honestly, as an infantryman, I love coming out into the garden bush and taking care of it, and making sure that it's growing, looks good, and is dressed for days like Memorial Day or Veterans Day. The other two roses that we have over here are actually Nefeto roses, which is the same rose that was used by Sergeant Younger in 1921 to select the World War I unknown soldier. And based on the information that was given to me by the American Rose Society, I've got them started in some pots here, and then what I'm going to do is move them inside for the winter, and then next year they will also go into our Never Forget garden as a nice way to remind everyone that the white roses is the official rose for the society, and it's the rose that, again, the white rose was used by Sergeant Younger back in 1921 to dedicate or select the World War I unknown soldier. You know, as I tend the garden, one of the things I think about are my brothers and sisters in the military who are struggling right now because of things that you see going on in Afghanistan. A lot of people are questioning, you know, their service and the sacrifices that they've had to endure because of those time frames. And I want to tell each and every one of my veteran brother and sisters that your service was honorable. You can only control the ground that you're operating in. You can't control the political arena. Don't worry about that. Just focus on you, focus on your service and the people that are next to you. There's help for every one of us. Whenever we have questions or doubts, someone is there willing to listen to you. And I think that as veterans, we need to show to our nation that we are still strong and powerful, and we are not afraid to ask for help when we need it. There's plenty of veterans organizations out there that are willing just to listen to you, and I challenge communities and other veterans organizations to reach out to not only our Afghanistan veterans, but all veterans, because the horrors of war and service weigh upon us, and sometimes you don't see physical wounds, but that doesn't mean the wounds aren't there mentally. So, you know, set up something in your community where you invite all veterans for coffee somewhere, you know, and just give them a space to interact with each other and maybe just listen to their stories, whether they reach out or not. But it's incredibly important, I think, in this day and age, especially, that while we're doubting perhaps the why behind what we did, we need to remember that, you know, you gave up a lot of your personal liberties to don the uniform of our nation and go forth and defend others and defend our nation as well. And our government asks quite a bit of our veterans in their armed forces. And as a nation, we need to support those veterans as they come back, give them the help they need, whether it's physical or mental, and remind everybody that they walk amongst us in our communities, and it's important to know that. Some of these warriors are there, and whether they're hurting or not, they do need to be recognized at times and thanked for what they did, because there's a lot of people in our nation that that's not a path that they choose in life. And thankfully, we've got generations of young men and women that choose that path. And I personally thank every veteran for the opportunity to have the life that I live, because you went ahead and did that, giving both my wife and I this chance to live as the American dream. So please, the Never Forget Garden is a great project that I think will help heal people. I think as a veteran, it's helped me go through my process. I've learned a lot how to grow flowers and keep them alive, which is important. But I think it provides a safe space for a lot of our veterans. And so this is my shout out to all communities, all veterans that think about making a Never Forget Garden, whether it's a personal one in your own personal space that works best for you and gives you the sanctity and security that you need when you're remembering your brothers and sisters, or as a community, a focal point where we can come as a community, as Congressman Hamilton Fish described it when he wrote the legislation for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We want to be able to come to a location where, as Americans, it doesn't matter what our politics are, or religion, or race, or creed, or economical status, or any of the hashtags that can be added to anyone today. And we need to come together as Americans and find a way to just, even with all of our differences and all of our uniqueness, find a way to bond. And I think a Never Forget Garden in our community, Never Forget Garden at your home, is a good way to do that. And as this grows, I'll send out another video and let you know how things are going, but not bad for an infantryman, and keeping some flowers alive, I have to admit. So thank you for everything you guys do, and be safe, and we'll see you the next time.